Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Real Matters. My name is Ronald Lynn.
My name is Dianna Cerejo.
And we're back after a few months off, right? And on our show, we deal with the real matters that matter to you. So, Dianna, welcome back to the show, right? It's been a few months.
Yeah,
right?
Likewise. Welcome back.
Thank you. So, what have you been doing the past few months? I think the last time we had this show, it was when?
May.
In May? Yeah, I think we were down in AC for our first show, right?
That's right.
And then we had our second show where we talked about school issues, right? School board.
And the curriculum.
Right. Mm-hmm. And now we're back after a few months. So please tell us, what have you been doing?
Well, I have a 9-year-old.
Right.
So I've been busy with her, and I'm working full-time at a law firm in Jersey City.
Okay.
So nothing fun, transactional law, but
right.
keeping me busy.
Okay.
What about you? What have you been up to?
You know, so for those of you that may not know, I'm running for office right now in Bergen County, running for county commissioner. Same seat that I ran for last year. Came up short by 2.5 points, right? Just missed it.
So close.
Yeah, so...
but on election day, actually, you were winning, right?
Well, yeah, on election night, my running mate and I, and actually the entire county slate, we were actually winning, right? Mm-hmm. But then after they started to count the mail-in ballots, that's where we started to fall behind. Mm-hmm. So we ended up losing by 2.5 points, which was around 10,000 or 12,000 votes, which is not too shabby, given the fact that I think we each garnered like around over 110,000 votes. So it was a good showing, but you know.
And for that shortage, we're happy because now you're here with me.
Right, yeah.
On the show.
Right. So, you know, I decided to, run again. I made that decision, I believe, in February. And yeah, I, threw my hat in the race again. And I was happy and proud to get the nomination again. We won our primary.
Congrats.
Thank you. We won it in June. So my running mates this time around is Todd Caliguire, running for county executive. Doug Holden, he's a doctor from Saddle River. And Dr. Deirdre Paul, who's a professor at Montclair State. And then little old me. So
great
the
slate.
Four of us, I like to call ourselves the Fantastic Four. Mm-hmm. So hopefully this year I'll be able to finish what I started last year, and hopefully our entire slate can win.
So a question that I keep getting asked,
Sure.
Everyone says, your good friend, Ronald Lynn,
Mm-hmm.
What position is he running for? Now we know it used to be called freeholder,
Right.
but now we know it's county commissioner.
Right.
But what does a county commissioner do?
Well, if you think about it, so on a town level, right, we have our council people. On the federal level, we have our Congress people, we have our U.S. senators, our Congress people, and then on the county level, we have the freeholders, what they used to be called. Now we are county commissioners. So we're basically legislators on the county level. So a county commissioner, we're in charge of the county budget, right? We're in charge of county property like county roads, the county schools, county parks. So we, basically all things county, that's where we come in.
Now your other two running mates, have they ever run before for office? Do you know?
Dr. Holden, this is his first time running for office. I know before he ran for office, he was the municipal chair in Saddle River.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
so it's pretty much like the Republican chairman of the township of Saddle River, which is, by the way, a beautiful town very close to where you live, right?
Yes, and my daughter goes to school in Saddle River.
Dr. Deirdre Paul, she's ran for office a few times in the past. I believe she ran for mayor of Inglewood, because that's where she's from. She also ran for Congress from CD9, and that's, of course, the seat that Billy Prempe is
our good
seeking
friend.
now.
Go
right?
Billy.
Yep, Billy. Billy's going to be on my show on Real Talk with Ronnie at some point in the next few weeks. Where we're still trying to work out the schedule because he's running around, right? He's always
You're
busy.
running around in one direction.
Yeah,
he's running in another.
But sometimes we run together.
That's right.
So yeah, so Deirdre has ran before. I ran last year. And Todd Caliguire, he's been a veteran of politics. He's worked for 2 governors, right? He's been a freeholder. He was elected twice, right? He chose to serve twice, and then he kind of stepped down. And then I know that between then and now, I believe he ran for governor once before. So yeah, but anyway, Todd has a wealth of experience. He's a very, very smart guy. So. And he is someone who is very qualified for the job in which he is seeking.
I agree with you, like Todd. And I think Jack put it well. Jack Chitterelli, who we know who ran last year for governor, said, when you run, you have to know in New Jersey, it's not a one-time race.
Right.
You have to run a couple of times. So.
Yep. Yeah. When I told Jack that I was running again, he said, "Yeah, good." Because he said, when you sign up to run, you're actually signing up for 2, right?
Right. Sometimes 3.
Right. Because the first time you run. Yeah, well, 3. Well, I mean, you.
I will run. Yes,
you were running for a 3rd time, right?
I will run maybe in the future. Yes,
Okay.
I ran twice for council.
Yeah, you came really close, also, right?
Very close. Same thing. Winning on election day, and then when the mail-in ballots come in.
Yeah. So you're thinking about maybe running again next year?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Well, you know what they say, right? 3rd time's a charm.
Let's see. Let's hope.
Yeah. So just between running around, going from town to town, and meeting the voters, I've been a busy dad also. I got 2 little ones now. My oldest.
Congrats.
Thank you.
They're adorable.
Donald is 2 years and 3 months now. Ronald Jr. is almost 9 months, so they're very close in age. I think they're starting to get to that point where they can play together, so that's always nice. Mm-hmm. And aside from that, I'm busy with my teaching and with my business. So I'm just busy.
So this is what you do in your spare time?
Yes, this is kind of like my hobby, right?
Right.
But I think it's really picking up. My other show, Real Talk with Ronnie.
That's doing great.
Yeah, we were on the radio last season. This season, we're going to take it in another direction. I've started my own television station, my own network. So my show will be airing on my network, pretty soon.
On Roku?
Yeah, it's gonna be on Roku, and so yeah, I'm busy trying to get that started.
So will you go back to radio this year or no?
This year we'll see. Maybe after the election, right? But I'm really juggling just too many things. So, but my show can be found on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on iHeartRadio. So I mean, the podcast is still there. It's just that I currently won't be on live radio.
Okay.
Right.
So one thing I did want to ask you too is when you're door knocking, what have you found is the pressing issue for most people?
Well, it really varies from town to town, but the overarching issue that most people are facing right now is the high price of everything. Right.
Everything. That's
from
right. Even
gases
groceries.
to groceries to rent to heating to everything. And, in any normal climate, the Democrats ought to be losing by a big margin. And I think that come November, that's what's going to happen. But as I've been saying, you can never underestimate the, Democrats. They are quite crafty. Mm-hmm. So they can try to find a way to win. So we always just have to, keep on, working hard.
Working hard, you have to door knock, you have to get there, out there, and as many people that meet you, get to know you. Who wouldn't like your face? Who wouldn't like you, Ron?
We'll see.
That's right. So you want to go on to other topics? What do we have on the agenda today?
Let's see. On our agenda, so we're going to be talking about the real matters that matter to all of us. But, there's a few items that are, big in the news, right? One of the big items that happened this past week, was the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, right?
Oh, how sad.
The longest reigning monarch in UK history, serving over, I think, 70 years. And, she passed away peacefully, right? I think on September 8th at the tender age of 96.
That's right, tender age. I mean, and I think she appeared, or she was supposed to appear that day.
Right.
But then she said she wasn't feeling well, so she postponed.
Right.
And I don't think anyone knew in what grave danger she was, or a grave ill she was.
Right. Well, I think I saw on Fox News and on CNN this breaking news saying that the Queen or the Queen's doctor has called Prince Charles and Prince William to come to her bedside.
Right.
So I think that was a telltale sign that perhaps the end was near. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, I think a few hours afterwards, she had passed away.
Yeah, very sad news.
Right. But sad, and also, I mean, she lived a very, very long and fruitful life. She was at the same job for 70 years, right? I mean, I can't imagine being at the same job for 70 years.
And not getting fired. That's right.
Well, that kind of job is kind of hard to get fired, right? You either have to die or you get your head chopped off, right? So
yeah. And I did watch some documentaries about her, and the flip side to it is, she had she was very famous,
Right.
she did a lot for the country, but the other part is that you don't realize is that you have no privacy.
Oh yeah.
Your whole life is under
Right.
a microscope, and she
Right.
can't even live normally like a normal person.
Right.
Like you and I could just walk down the street and go door knocking, for
Right.
example. She couldn't do something like
Well,
that,
given the fact that I'm getting kind of more and more famous,
Yes, you will be
can't
like
really
the
do that
monarch.
anyway. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, I mean, but that's kind of like I might kind of feel bad that she doesn't have that
Right.
privacy, but at the same time, she gets all the other good stuff
The
that
privileges,
that,
right.
comes with it. So I don't feel too bad for her.
Right, I agree, but very
Yeah.
sad news.
But during her reign, her 70 years, she saw a lot happen, right? There were world wars, right? There were pandemics.
That's right.
Of course, there was a lot of chaos and controversy within the royal household, right?
Mm-hmm.
The passing of Princess Di and
That's right.
everything else.
I think
But-
the fire of Windsor Castle,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
9/11.
But through it all, I mean, it's really surprising that, well, not surprising, but it's really it's incredible that she still remained a very popular figure within the British realm, right?
And strong figure.
Right. Yeah.
She was known to be very strong,
Yeah.
right? Very determined in whatever she wanted. She knew what she wanted, right?
Yeah.
And it's her father said, at one point, I know, her father said, oh, we don't need a son.
Right.
She'll do very well. She's going to be the best monarch they've ever had.
Well, I think she came to power when she was like 25, right?
Very young age,
Yeah.
yes.
So yeah, well, God save the Queen,
That's right.
and I'm sure God's taking great care of her now in heaven, right?
Yes, God bless her and her
Yeah.
family.
Right. All right. What else is up there in the news? Well,
The
recently,
headlines.
yeah, the headlines. One of the big headlines that I think is affecting all Bergen County residents and a lot of people in this state and in this country is the fact that crime is on the rise, right?
Skyrocketing crime, especially in
Right.
our town. I live in Woodcliff Lake. We've had a couple incidences just recently in the past month. How about in your town, your area?
In Franklin Lakes, yeah, there's been cases where cars are stolen right from the driveways. So our mayor has said don't leave your keys in your cars, right? Which
Yes.
used to be a pretty normal. It's a normal thing, right?
Right.
You leave your keys in your car because your car is part of your personal property and it's in your driveway, right?
Your property, right?
What can happen? Well, what's been happening is that these criminals, they recruit children, right, that are under the age of 18 to come to your property to steal the car straight from your driveway. And in certain cases, they go to your house, they break in, they take the keys and get in the car and then drive. And
Do you
drive
think that's
off.
what they're doing for the break-ins? Because we have noticed, first the influx was of the car breaking. Right now, we notice the influx of attempted,
Right.
entering of the property.
Well, yeah.
You think they're looking for the keys?
Well,
or
yeah.
what?
I mean, because they used to be able to find the keys in the car, right? But now
Right,
the
so
keys
now they
are
have-
no longer there. So now they got to take a step further and go into the house, or break into the house and get the keys.
Yeah, so I heard about this the phenomenon with the juveniles, which I find interesting because I used to work as a
Right.
juvenile court
Uh-huh.
coordinator in Jersey City. I used to handle a lot of juvenile delinquency cases. So the problem or the issue with it is that they are recruiting this ring
Right.
or several rings are recruiting these juveniles. Why? They pay them a
Right.
stipend
Right.
and they get just a slap on the wrist, or they're treated with white gloves.
Right. Well, these criminals, they purposely recruit these minors because they know that the cops can't hold them. Right.
Right, right.
So I mean, it's such a sinister thing because not only are they perpetuating this crime wave, this culture of crime, but they're actively ruining these kids' lives.
Instead of being home and studying and doing activities. So we just had one recently in Woodcliff Lake. I think it was Wednesday night, as everyone knows. It was to be approximated that the two individuals were 13 and 16 years old.
Right.
At 13, that's almost my daughter's age. At 13,
Yeah.
they should be playing sports, should be in clubs, should be in
When
school.
I was 13, I think I was watching Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, that's right. That's me.
Right.
So, it's sad because it's also, a culture. I worked in Hudson County, and that's originally where I was from. So the children, the parents, you notice that the parents aren't home to watch, because how are these children out? This incident happened, both incidents, I believe, around 12:30 at night.
Right.
Where are the parents, and why aren't the parents looking on a school day? Why
Well,
are
that's
the
the
children
thing.
at home?
Well, that's the thing, you know, these criminals, they tend to recruit children from broken families, right? From families in which the parents aren't a big part of their kids' lives, and that's how they're able to get to them. So,
and it's heartbreaking too, because I noticed, you know, what's prevalent in the neighborhoods that I used to work in Hudson County is that the father's not there, and that the mother has to work 2 or 3 jobs to make up. So the mom cannot be available, you know, and they would tell me, you know, desperate, I just really don't know what to do, but I can't be there to oversee, you know, and looking for the courts for help, and what can we do? The only thing we can offer is, you know, social resources or anything like that, but really it has to be like a full culture. It has to be a real change.
So like, what do you think is the solution to all this?
Education.
Yeah. But even with our education system, right, the kids aren't really learning what they ought to be learning.
Well, let me tell you, because I'm a huge proponent of an education system, right, and a very strong education system, but very vocal about that. When I used to hear the cases, these are cases that were given to me from the family court judge, where she thought that the juveniles can be rehabilitated. So then she would give me those cases. So really not high level, but it was still assault and battery, you know, vandalism, things like that. And I noticed that when I spoke to the child, many of them would break down, and it's the tougher ones that would break down and start crying in the courtroom. Yes, it was.
It's the tougher ones.
It's the tougher ones that would break down, right? Because usually it's something internal that's happening, right? These kids are all innocent, so obviously something's going wrong there. And when I would impose structure to them, it was funny because you have to give a disposition for them to appear back in court. I would usually tell them, listen, I want to recommend and try to see if you can get your grades to get better, because I noticed there is a correlation with the lower grades with criminal activity. So I told them, see what you can do to try to increase your grades. Wherever they are, just try to increase them at all. And then also I want you to start talking about your goals. So I want you to tell me what you're going to do. Example, you're going to go to college, or what is going to be your career. And I want you to research it. I want you to research the schools, and I want to research what career you want to do and what's it going to take to get there. And most of the kids would say, oh, I never even thought about that. I said, okay, well, that's your job. Start thinking about it and researching it. So they would come back to me, and I would say, and I need recommendations if you can get it from your teachers, you know, it's social workers, anyone, from people from your church, your family, and you wouldn't even realize how much the children would change, how many times. I would say maybe about 70% of the cases, the parents would come to me and say, I can't believe it, they needed the structure. Kids need the structure. You can't just let them out there. So I think that if the education system is stronger, meaning you have to.
There's more like after school, like, you know, programs and that kind of stuff, or
100%, but also expectation. That's the one word.
Well, now what they're doing in our school system is that they're actually lowering the you know, the expectation.
Yeah. Why?
And all the criteria. Well, because they want to make it more fair and more equitable for underperforming students to get into maybe better schools. But what they're really doing is they're lowering the bar, and they're kind of dumbing everybody down.
Right.
Which isn't good for quality, which isn't good for the students, you know, self-esteem.
Right.
Because then they're going to get into these top programs and then realize, oh no, you know, I actually don't know what to do.
Right, they don't have the tools, but they have the brain.
Right.
We're all born with the same brain, right? How much we
potential,
use it, right? We all how much we use it, right? So that's why I think it's not only the resources, but it's the expectations.
Right.
We need to have more expectations. They can do it, and they will do it. In my courtroom for over 10 years, I saw these cases, and when I expected more from them, they actually fulfilled it, the requirement.
Yeah. But you know, this all goes back to the central issue of the fact that everything is too highly priced, right? In terms of grocery, gas, food, everything, right? The higher the price and the cost of living, the more amount of time that the parents would have to work. And the more time that they're not in the household, right? The less time that they have to help the kids out. So I think that's what we're seeing here, right? The absence of the parents in the household, the absence of their guidance is allowing these criminals to come to these kids and you know,
fill the family roles, right?
So I think, you know, everything is going wrong now, right? There's nothing really.
I think it's all interconnected. I agree.
Yeah, there's nothing really in our country where you can point to like, oh wow, you know, like this is going really, really well.
Right. I agree. But I do believe it also starts at home.
Right.
And it does start also in the school with the expectations, because even we met Ben Carson before, and we saw him speak in Atlantic City, which was great, one of my biggest idols. So Ben Carson spoke about his mother being, you know, I believe she was a single mother, right?
Yeah, she was a single mother who
worked very hard,
and she couldn't read, right?
And she would grade, and he would talk about how she would grade the papers, but see, she had expectations on him, and he knew that he had to do it, even though she couldn't read it properly or grade it properly. There was expectations in the home, even though she wasn't available. So that's my number one key word: expectations. Push for the educational system, because I've always said, you know, how can we prevent so many criminals? And my belief is that if you dump, or not, I shouldn't say dump, you put more money into the educational system, kind of front load it, I think then you'll have less criminals on the back end, because it costs, I believe, even for typical jail, $61,000 to house someone per year.
Oh, yeah.
So for that money, why not put it into the education system, but properly?
Right.
Right, because we know the educational system, the money is not getting funded properly, too.
Right. Speaking of our education system, right? I was at a Board of Ed meeting a couple of nights ago in Old Japan, and it's you know, it's really infuriating to watch this kind of stuff happen, right? Because you see these parents go up to the podium, right? And they're expressing their concerns and outrage over the fact that there's these books that the kids are being made to read, these inappropriate books that basically teach a kid how to give oral sex at the age of like 13 and
what happened to
14.
STEM education?
Right. So they're given these books on their reading list, and these parents are outraged. They're voicing a legitimate concern, right? And the superintendent won't even give them an answer, won't even look at them. And to me, just on a human level, that's just very rude, right?
Right. Agreed. Like we said, it takes a village, but it also takes the whole community, you know, and everyone together. That means parents with the teachers working together to raise these children.
Right.
I can't raise my daughter by myself. I need the community, right?
Right.
So we all have to work together, and this curriculum is just not what education, in my view, education is. Education is just the STEM core curriculum. If I want to teach my daughter something else, then I'll do it on my own time, or what I feel is appropriate and when I feel it's appropriate.
And honestly, when it comes to the birds and the bees, I mean, I don't really think kids need a book to teach them how to do this kind of stuff. I think it's kind of all natural, you know.
And I don't think that the school is a proper place to go and learn this. You know, that's not what education is about.
I think the school's role in a kid's, you know, education should be
academics,
basics, right? Math, English, science, history,
sports,
and all of history, not just certain parts of, you know, history, right?
Agreed.
I understand that in every culture, in every country, there are dark parts of our history, right? And I think it's important for our children to learn every part of that history, because if they don't learn the entire story, then guess what? They're bound to make the same mistakes.
The good and the bad, right?
Yeah. So I mean, you kind of have to accept the good parts of our history and the bad parts, because without the bad parts, we wouldn't get to the good parts.
That's right. That's right.
So, yeah, but you know, another bit of news that I thought was pretty laughable was the fact that Governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, right? He sent a plane load, I think, of 50 migrants.
Yes.
To Martha's Vineyard. And you would imagine the liberal enclave of Martha's Vineyard to welcome them with open arms, right? Because that's what they preach, right? Free love,
open borders, right?
And open borders. But lo and behold, their reaction was not that, right? They were kind of like pissed off.
Well, they were kicked out
already.
Right? Yeah, they're already gone.
Right. So what's that all about? I mean, from the Democratic Party, the party of peace and tolerance and love for all, why are they not practicing what they preach?
I don't know. That's a very good question. You know?
I think it's, you know, that's hypocrisy, right?
Right.
Hypocrisy at its highest level. You know, do as I say, not as I do. We want these open borders so long as these migrants aren't in our backyard.
My backyard, right? Exactly.
So, but I think, you know, the people of this country, the people of our state, I think they're opening their eyes now, right? And they're kind of seeing all this bull crap, which is the Democratic Party. Because, you know, frankly speaking, the Democratic Party of today is not the Democratic Party that it used to be. If it was the Democratic Party of 20 years back, right, then I don't think there will be all this chaos now. The problem is the Democratic Party of today has been hijacked, right, by the woke liberal left, right? And they're trying to recreate this country in an image in their head in which they think is perfect, but actually it's just, you know, chaos.
Right, and I like how you said frankly speaking.
Right.
Shout out to our friend Frank Pilato,
Yep.
who's running for Congress.
Yep. Frank was on my show last week.
That was a great episode.
Oh yeah, and if you haven't watched it yet, go to Real Talk with Ronnie's Facebook page and check it out. All right, so Dianna, what else have you got planned for the next coming weeks and months?
Nothing. Real matters to find out what's going on. Yeah, keep working. Real matters.
So when we first started this show, we were planning on airing it like once every 2 weeks, right?
Right.
Right, but because of the conflicts in the schedule.
And you're running for campaigning.
Right, yeah, but
busy,
I think from this show on out, we're gonna be doing this show on a
Monthly
more
basis.
on a much more regular basis, right? I would say at the very least once every 2 weeks. Yeah, what do you think?
Once every 2 weeks, every month. Let's see how campaigning goes. You might be too busy.
Yeah. So for those of you who are watching, if there's a particular topic that you want us to cover, or if you want to come on, please tell us, and we'll find a way to to get you on our show and talk about the matters that matter to you.
That's right.
Okay.
Well said.
All righty. All right, guys. So until next time, stay safe. And please, if you want to follow my campaign, go to www.winwithwin.us to check out my campaign. And if you like to donate, please do so. Thank you. Every single dollar counts.
Thank you for watching Real Matters with Ronnie and Dianna.
All right, guys. Peace out.
Bye.